Somewhere in Vermont, there was a man everyone assumed was broke. He filled up gas tanks for a living. He mopped floors after his shift ended. His coat had a tear in the sleeve he never bothered to fix. Nobody invited him to dinner parties. Nobody asked his opinion on money. And when he died in 2014 at the age of 92, his neighbors thought they knew exactly what his obituary would say. They were wrong, because the man everyone dismissed left behind almost $8 million. And the strangest part? Nobody around him, not his co-workers, not his neighbors, not even most of his own family had any idea it was there. How does a janitor end up with $8 million while people earning six figures a year retire with nothing? The answer isn't luck. It isn't inheritance. It's something almost nobody talks about, and by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why quiet wealth doesn't look like wealth at all. His name was Ronald Read. For over 25 years, he pumped gas at a filling station in Brattleboro, Vermont. Later, he swept floors part-time at a department store. He drove an old car. He wore a safety pin to hold his coat together instead of buying a new one. If you saw him in line at the grocery store, you would not have looked twice. But every single week for decades, Ronald did something that almost nobody else in his town was doing. He set aside a small amount of money, not thousands, not even hundreds most weeks, just small, unglamorous amounts invested quietly, consistently, without telling a soul. So here's the real question hiding inside his story. If it wasn't about how much he earned, what was it about? When the lawyers finally opened his accounts after his death, they found holdings in over 95 different companies. Blue chip stocks, boring, unglamorous names, the kind of companies your grandfather would recognize. No cryptocurrency, no stock tips, no secret hedge fund. Just ordinary shares bought a little at a time, held for years, sometimes decades, while dividends quietly reinvested themselves in the background. The total value? $8 million. He gave most of it away to his local hospital and library. And here's the twist that stops most people cold. Ronald Read never earned more than roughly a working-class wage in his life, which means the story we tell ourselves about wealth, that you need a big salary, a lucky break, a rich relative, might be the biggest lie keeping ordinary people broke. Now here's where this gets personal, because you are probably not a janitor in Vermont, but you've probably felt the same quiet panic Ronald could have felt if he'd measured himself against everyone else. That feeling when a friend posts a new car, a new house, a vacation, and you wonder if you're falling behind. That moment, checking your bank account and feeling a small twist of dread. That nagging math you do late at night. Rent, groceries, gas, and somehow still nothing left over. If that's familiar, you're not alone and you're not failing. You've just been playing a game with the wrong scoreboard. Because the people who build real wealth almost never look wealthy while they're doing it. So what if the amount that matters isn't thousands a month? What if it's something almost embarrassingly small, something like $50? $50 a week doesn't sound like a wealth strategy. It sounds like a coffee habit, but here's the part your bank statement will never explain to you. Money invested consistently doesn't grow in a straight line. It grows on a curve. Compounding quietly stacks growth on top of previous growth, so the money you set aside in year one keeps earning year after year, even while you sleep, even while you forget it exists. $50 a week invested consistently at an average historical market return over 30 years can grow into six figures. Not because the amount was large, but because time did something effort alone never could. This is the part almost nobody explains clearly. So why does this simple math get ignored by so many people who actually could afford it? Consider Grace Groner, a secretary from Illinois, who in 1935 bought 3 shares of stock for about $60 total. She never sold. She never touched it. She kept working an ordinary job, living in a modest one-bedroom house, driving used cars for the rest of her life. By the time she passed away in 2010, those 3 shares, through decades of splits and reinvested dividends, had become worth over $7 million. 2 secretaries, 2 working-class wages, 2 totally ordinary lives, and 2 fortunes that nobody around them suspected were being quietly built, one unremarkable decision at a time. The pattern is impossible to ignore once you see it. But if it's this simple, why doesn't everyone do it? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't fail to build wealth because they don't have enough money. They fail because they're waiting for enough money. They tell themselves they'll start investing once the raise comes, once the debt is paid off, once things calm down. But things rarely calm down on their own schedule. And every year of waiting is a year of compounding that never happens. A year that can never be bought back later, no matter how much money eventually shows up. The real cost isn't the $50 you didn't invest. It's the growth that $50 would have quietly produced for the next 20 or 30 years. So the real question isn't, how do I get more money to start? It's, what is waiting actually costing you? People like Ronald and Grace shared something you won't find on a resume. They weren't chasing status. They weren't trying to look rich. In fact, part of what let their money grow undisturbed for decades was that nobody around them knew it was there. So nobody pressured them to spend it, flaunt it, or prove anything with it. Quiet wealth isn't about the size of the number. It's about invisibility while it's being built. The moment money becomes about being seen, it usually stops compounding and starts leaking into new cars, new clothes, upgrades that quietly erase decades of progress. So maybe the real skill isn't earning more. Maybe it's learning to be patient in a world designed to make you feel like patience is falling behind. So how does this actually work starting today with something as small as $50? First, automate it. The moment $50 hits your account, it should move into an investment account before you ever see it as spendable money, because willpower fails, but automation doesn't. Second, choose boring. Broad, diversified funds that track the overall market have historically outperformed most people trying to pick individual winners, the same unglamorous approach Ronald quietly used. Third, never check it emotionally. Markets fall, markets recover. The investors who panic sell during a downturn are often the ones who turn temporary dips into permanent losses. Fourth, increase it slowly, letting the $50 grow with your income without letting lifestyle grow faster than savings. None of this requires being an expert. It requires being consistent. But there's one more piece almost nobody mentions, the part that decides whether this actually works for you. Here's the twist. Most financial advice conveniently leaves out, this isn't really a money strategy. It's a patience strategy wearing a money costume. The math of compounding has existed for centuries. Anyone with access to a basic investment account can access it. So if the formula is public and has been public for decades, why do so few people actually end up like Ronald or Grace? Because the real obstacle was never information. It's the 20, 30, 40 years of staying boring while everyone else appears to be moving faster. It's watching other people spend while you quietly don't. It's trusting a process you can't see working for over a decade at a time. That's the part that eliminates almost everyone before the compounding even gets interesting. Ronald Read spent almost 65 years quietly building what became an $8 million fortune, without a single person around him fully understanding what was happening until it was already done. Somewhere right now, there's a version of that story starting with someone setting aside $50 this week. It might already be starting with you, but here's the question worth sitting with before you go. If quiet, invisible habits are what actually build fortunes, what visible habit in your life right now might quietly be working against you? In the next video, we're going to look at the opposite side of this story, the small, invisible habits that silently drain wealth away, even from people who earn 6 figures a year. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it.